All right, welcome everyone to episode number 29, Pest Control Millionaire. Today is one of my good friends, Kory Ballard. I think that anyone in the lawn care industry will know this guy. He's seen him all over the internet, he's all over Instagram, big influencer in our space, but not only that, is he has built several multi-million-dollar companies, and we get to walk through the process of all that today. So, Kory, appreciate you being here, and thanks for just dropping some knowledge on us today.
Yeah, glad to be here, buddy.
Yeah, it's been a few years. I know you and I just did a podcast. I was actually on your podcast, I don't know, like 3 weeks ago, a month ago, somewhere in there.
Yeah, I don't know if that one's dropped, but if it hasn't, it should be any day here or any week now. We drop a new episode every Tuesday. And so we tried to build up a bunch of them because, as you've probably figured out, that the podcast is it's a little more work than I thought in the beginning.
For sure. We're always moving to get to the next person. We try to get like 4 or 5 ahead. Then next thing you know, it gets busy. Then we're getting behind again, and we start another one. I'm like, it's a constant battle to keep up.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's fun. So you got to interview me a few weeks ago, but now it's my turn to interview you. I think we met, 4 or 5 years ago at this point, maybe longer, somewhere in there.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, and you still owned Perfect Cut at the time. I came down there, you took me on a tour through all of Perfect Cut. You took me across the street to your office buildings, and then we went over to your new Ballard Corp, which I think was relatively new at that point, I would assume, close to it.
Yeah, I mean, we've had the company a long time, but it was just kind of a hobby business, and then we've recently grown it the last 5 years. And I think when you were down, even since then, we've added another facility here in Des Moines. We've remodeled everything top to bottom, and then we also have an office in Eastern Iowa and in Omaha. But since you were here, we've completely remodeled all of our facilities here, and just completely gutted them and really tried to make a nice facility for our team and office admin, and a place that people are proud to work and show up to. And it costs a lot of money to do that, but boy, it's nice to have a facility that you're proud of, and and that's going to last.
Yeah. How important do you think that is, of having a really nice office space, really nice facility? And obviously you can't have that everything when you first start out, but as you scale, how important is it, do you think, for culture?
Yeah, I mean, I still think guys can do, small guys can still have a quality company and a high quality company without a fancy office and fancy stuff. But, for us, as we grew and we really wanted to create this culture and a place that people wanted to not only work, but have a long-term career, we just really needed a place that looked good and felt good and flowed well, and was secure and safe. So, I mean, I definitely think it's a place that it's made a difference. I mean, I don't know, is somebody going to quit or stay because you have nice offices? Probably not. But when we interview people and we bring in salespeople and all kinds of different things, I think it's important for us at our level, anyways, to create a culture and create a place that is appealing, aesthetically appealing, and that they know that they've got a company that's. We always say we sweat the details, and then you can't say you sweat the details and then have a facility that's not, clean and organized and professional. And so we have the windows clean. We have a cleaning service, and it's there's not, you don't see clutter on desks and stuff sitting out. It's super important to us to change, and it took years to change that. We just had to really continue to say, hey guys, this is not how we function, and we don't leave stuff out, and we don't leave boxes out. We empty trashes daily. We don't make messes in the kitchen areas and our break room areas. And if you want to change the culture, you got to change the expectations.
Yeah, I love that. So you mentioned in there, everyone, the smaller guys, they're not going to get started that way. So let's take you back from day one. Like, who was Kory Ballard in high school?
Yeah, so kind of rowdy. I was, the long, the short story of, how we got to where we are, it really started simple with me, and I just wanted to make some extra money. I wanted the fanciest moped, and they came out with these new YSRs, which were like a little mini crotch rocket, and my parents didn't have any money, and I told my dad I wanted one, and they were $1,400 at the time. So this is 1989. So $1,400 is, I don't know what that's equivalent to today, $3,000-4,000. And he said, hey man, you better get a job. And so the only thing I could come up with was started knocking on doors and asking people if I could cut their grass. And must have been fairly convincing, because I picked up 10 or 12 local residences right around me, and I stole my dad's push mower and started cutting some grass. And I quickly realized that I enjoyed working outdoors. I enjoyed having my own money. I enjoyed being able to buy my own stuff and not rely on my parents. And I was able to buy that YSR and quickly pay it off. And and then eventually I bought a 36-inch belt-driven junk mower. But man, it was a Cadillac compared to a push mower. And but I still didn't know for sure what I wanted to do. My mom and my grandma was saying, you got to go to college. And, I was the kind of guy that was, I wrestled in high school, but I was trying to have fun, chase girls, party and hang out with friends. And I just wasn't great at school. I didn't get bad grades, but I gave just enough effort to get through. And so I knew that I didn't want to work for anybody else, but I didn't think college was a good fit for me. And but I wasn't afraid to work, and I was out hustling, and I talked to anybody that would listen, and quickly picked up quite a few accounts. And by the time I was a senior in high school, I had a couple mowing crews, and I'd get the guys going before school, and then we had a school program that got me out at noon, and I'd go meet the crews and work with whoever had the largest route. And that's really how it started. And I named it Perfect Cut, and I had a girlfriend back at the time. Her dad painted me a board I put on the side of a pickup, and we just started cutting grass, and the community was growing, and we knew enough people, and I had high school friends to help, so labor wasn't really an issue. People were helping before and after school, and I had a couple guys that had graduated a year ahead, and so I had labor, and I had work, and so that's kind of how it started, and it just quickly grew. And before I knew it, I was in pretty deep. And I remember at one point my grandma said, are you going to go to college? And I'm like, Grandma, I think I got like 35 employees now. I'm in kind of deep now. So that's really what happened. And we just were out there hustling and knocking on every door and asking for opportunities. And we were doing good work. And but we were doing all kinds of stuff, as any small company does. We were doing biweekly mows and mowing ditches only. And, we took anything that anything that paid $1, we took on.
Yeah, it's awesome. I think that how we all got started knocking on doors and just getting to work and getting it done. When did you start wrestling? How old were you when you started wrestling?
Probably 6 or 7. And I wrestled all the way into high school, and was pretty good. Wasn't amazing, but I just wasn't focused. My parents didn't care if I wrestled or not. And I think I just got distracted a little bit my junior year. I got injured, and I believe you were a wrestler. Man, I was tired of cutting weight. My friends were out having fun. They were chasing girls, and I'm wearing plastics trying to make weight and spitting in a cup, and just trying to shave every ounce of, and so I don't know. I can tell you that to this point, Jonas, it's one of the things I regret the most, because I'm not a quitter. I don't quit anything. But I quit wrestling. And I remember my junior year, I called our head coach and I said, hey, I don't want to wrestle. And he's like, Kory, you're a starter. You lettered as a sophomore. You're going to make state. And I said, I don't think so. And I regret that to this day, because I'm a believer in consistency and doing what you say you're going to do. And I tell my kids, we start something, we finish it. Yeah. And so I regret that, I can tell you. And I don't know how good I would have been, but I knew I wasn't as focused as some of my peers, and they were working harder than me. And I don't know, for some reason, I think I did it so long though, that maybe I kind of lost interest and maybe put myself out a little bit.
Happens all the time. I still see it. I mean, I think I've been involved in wrestling since I was 3 years old. And I've seen everything happen. Like some of the best guys that have ever came out of the state, and then also the next thing you know, it's their senior year, they're ranked number 1 in the state, and they just bail their senior year because they're just burnt out.
Yeah,
I have a close friend of mine that did the same thing, so I get it. But how much do you attribute all the things you learned from wrestling throughout your whole life into the business today?
Yeah, good question. I mean, I don't know. I think it's just, it's up to you. Wrestling's a one sport, and of course you have a team, but man, when you're on the mat, it's just you against another competitor, and it's who wants to put in the most work, and again, who's going to quit? I recently talked to a guy, and he was asking me kind of about business, and I said, the businesses that are around today, I think it's about who can endure the most pain. when it gets really, really tough, a lot of guys quit. And I think on the wrestling mat, I can speak from my experience. I lost matches that I was better than the guys that I was beaten or that I lost to. And I beat guys that maybe were better than me. And that day I just said, this guy isn't beating me. And that's kind of how I took into business. I just said, I might not be the smartest guy, but I'm going to outwork you. And when you're not working on Saturday, I'm going to be in the office. And when you're not working on Sunday, I'm going to be in the office. And you're just not going to be able to outwork me. You might be smarter than me, but I'm just going to get a little bit better than you. I'm going to work a little bit harder than you. I'm going to stay a little bit later. I'm going to get there a little bit earlier. And I'm going to make it impossible for you to beat me at business. And so I think that kind of relates back to wrestling too. And, the guys that put in the work get the results.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. And we love hiring wrestlers. Like,
I'm sure any athletes, I think.
Any athlete, agreed. But again, I'm not just picking on wrestling because that's my sport, but we have some wrestlers that work for us that are sales guys. And like you said, when things get tough and it gets harder on the doors, like the ones that rise to the top, or the ones who overcome those challenges, are typically the athletes. They're used to like going through those hard times of, when you're down by 2 points or down by 3 points in the third period and you got to come back and win. Like, that's what it's all about. It's the same thing in business. So like things get hard. Like you said, you got to overcome those things and just keep working hard, put your head to the ground and keep moving.
Yeah, I think it's too easy for people to quit today. I mean, I believe that quit in business, quit in sports, quit on a marriage. It's too easy to just say, I'm not doing this anymore. And, you've got to figure out a way to really grind and figure out on those rough days. And I do like what Mike Andy said when he said it at one of the conferences, and I think he said it on our podcast, but lower highs, higher lows, where, when things are great, you just don't get on top of the world and buy a brand new truck. And when things are low, you don't say, oh shit, I got to close down. We're out of money. We're screwed. Got to fire everybody. So it's kind of balancing out those. I think that takes some time and some maturity. And on those rough days, sometimes you just, I'll pick my team up and say, hey guys, it's okay. We had a shitty day. Everybody get some rest, grab a bite to eat. Let's fight the battle tomorrow, man. We'll come back. We'll do this again. And instead of just saying, hey, we're screwed, right? Yeah. Oh, that was a terrible day. We're in trouble. Oh, we're out of money, whatever the case may be. And so I do believe that, to your point, athletes, I think have worked through adversity numerous times. And I try to teach those things to my children and teach it to our employees. And because, man, I just think we're just kind of in a culture that, I don't know. Everybody just they want the easy way, right? They want to quit and they want to get shape in a week and they want to get rich in a month.
Yeah. I see it all on Instagram, Facebook. Overnight success is no such thing. I don't care what anyone says.
I don't know how to do it. If I knew all those tricks, I'll let you in on them. Maybe off air, I'll let you in on the secrets. Yeah. But I don't. Everyone says, I'm like, I don't know. I just go to the gym, 6 days a week for 25 years.
Yep.
So
hey, absolutely.
No big deal. It's all you got to do.
It's consistency.
You got to eat right.
Yeah. Not very hard, but it's hard.
No, it's just consistency, right? You got to put the work in day in and day out every single day.
Yeah, in anything that you do. And I teach my guys all the time is, you're going to have the super high highs, you're going to have the super low lows, but the more even keeled you can stay, the better off you'll be. And my daughter is that way. Like, I'm super high highs, super low lows, like I always was in my past. And she's not that way. She's super competitive, but she's even keel all the way through, whether it's a win or a loss. Like, there's like almost no emotion. I absolutely love it. But I think that she had a really good coach too.
Awesome.
So when it comes to back to the business side of things, people see like the end result of Perfect Cut, where it was when you left, right? Like monster business. I don't know how many employees did you end up with when you sold? Where were you at?
I think we're at our peak. We were around 200, and then through COVID, we actually just got smarter. We actually didn't downsize the company, but we just got a little bit smarter and streamlined. So I think 160, 165, I think is where we are currently today. We did have just recently an acquisition, but it's through the parent company that also bought Perfect Cut, which we can get into. And I'm still involved with Perfect Cut. I still go to a weekly meeting. I'm on our strategy team. I have shares in the corporate company as well. So I've got some skin in the game, but it's certainly different today. But we built that up to 3 branches, a full service commercial site management company. We have one little piece of residential that we still do, but mainly commercial. We focus on corporate style campuses, the large, big stuff that, we're not doing gas stations and fast food stores and those types of things. But we focus on the large clients where we can really bring value and build long-term partnerships. And that's what we want. We want partnerships with our clients so they value us as much as we value them. And we can bring in, and again, we're not a low-cost provider, so some of those relationships take years and years to build. And it's hard to get in, but if you do a great job, it's also hard for somebody else to get in and take your spot if you do a great job.
Yeah, so you've been doing this for 30 plus years, right?
Yeah, that's ages me some, but yeah, I'm 47, so I've been really, I started at 14 years old, and so I've been doing this a long time, and learned a lot along the way, and we grew really fast in the beginning. We were at $10 million in revenue when I was 27 years old, and learned a lot, and we had areas where we would, kind of tap the brakes for a couple of years and we'd grow, and, went through the recession where we were doing a lot of commercial work and didn't get paid from a lot of our largest clients, and really humbling experience when you've got a great company and no cash, right? And we had employees, great reputation, looked really good on the outside, and no cash, and made it through that, and learned a lot. And we acquired some companies over the years as well, in the erosion control space, and a few other lawn care companies in other markets. And but yeah, we've been doing this a long time, and but we're still, Jonas, I mean, it looks so good on the outside, but I can tell you, sitting in those strategy meetings still trying to figure out, who are we? How do create the best company? How do we provide the best service? How do we offer the best career opportunities? What's our employee retention? What's our customer retention? What's our ideal client look like? And how do we keep them? And so we're still constantly trying to figure out who we are. And that's a moving target at all times.
Yeah. When did you decide to switch from residential to commercial?
It's probably been 15 years really at this point. And it wasn't because it wasn't profitable. I mean, I think people get a little skewed on this, and I know you talk to a lot of guys as well. And we've got a lot of friends that do some consulting, and, guys say, well, I need to get into commercial. There's more money in it. And that's not necessarily the case. Actually, sometimes there's less because it's a competitive bid market. But for us, it was just looking at our business model and trying to figure out, who do we serve, and how do we grow to the level that we want to grow. And so residential was extremely profitable. Even the mowing, we used to do about 250 mowing, just residential mowing customers. We had routes that were super tight density, extremely profitable, but just a lot of touch points, as you know, a lot of billing, collecting. This was pre-credit card on file. And so we're sending out bills and trying to get paid. And so we just really looked at our model and said, who do we want to be today? Who do we want to be in the future, and how do we get there? And so we didn't just cut it off overnight, but we slowly, as we continue to get more and more large commercial clients, we started looking at our service lines and saying which ones make the best sense for us long term. And I think it started with the mowing. Okay, we'll get rid of the residential mowing. Okay, we'll get rid of the residential landscape installation. They don't make sense for us anymore. And again, not because they weren't profitable, just because we didn't feel like we were best at that line of business, and it allowed us to focus on the much bigger clients and again build more long-term relationships.
Yeah, so you were 27 years old, doing $10 million in revenue, doing a little bit of everything. Was there any key employees at that point that really started to help you turn the corner of the business, or did those come later on?
No, absolutely. Even before that, so Matt Bowman, who's the president of Perfect Cut today, and eventually was bought in and was my business partner, and him and I still own a lot of real estate together. Matt started right out of high school with me, and I just quickly realized that he was a guy that I saw something in him. And I talk to people about this all the time. If you get an A player on your team and you see somebody, man, you better figure out a way to keep them. And so Matt was just an incredible sales guy, and I was much better on the operations. I really understood the equipment and the operations, and I quickly realized that Matt had just a knack for selling. He was a great listener. He's a great communicator. Even at 19, 20 years old, he was selling large commercial accounts, which was crazy to me that they would even give him the time of day. And And so I made Matt a promise way back then. I remember meeting with Matt and his mom and saying, hey, because Matt was going to college. And I said, hey, I'd like Matt to join me full time. I think we can do something special here. And I said, give us a couple of years. If we don't, Matt, you can go back to school. And so I started with a phantom stock program. And then eventually I said, Matt, you can buy in. And he upheld his word and I upheld mine. And when we sold the company, he was just under a 50% owner. So I let him buy in incremental values over the course of time. And so there was a lot of people. Matt's the one that stands out because I just knew, I knew that him and I together would be better than myself alone. And people have said, would you have gotten where you've gotten without Matt? No. Would I have been successful on some level? Certainly. I don't know what it would have looked like because, we don't have that, to look at. But, and then there were several other people along the way that I just think that I don't know if I was lucky or I just have a good intuitive way of seeing people. But when I come across people that I just see them as just A players and difference makers, I just went out of my way to communicate with them, talk to them about where they were in their life, where they were in their career, where the company is, where we're going, what the future looks like. And I encourage guys to do that all the time. Like, well, they know what we're doing. Do they?
Right.
I think it's, man, I would sit down with people all the time and say, hey, Joe, man, you're a stud. I don't have a spot for you right now, but I'm going to move you up next year. And I promise. And I would always fulfill my promises. But like, man, I see something in you. I love your attitude, man. I love your work ethic, man. You're smart. Anybody. And so I did that with a lot of people. And some of those guys are still with me today. Unfortunately, some of them aren't, as the companies grow to a certain level, sometimes you outgrow those guys or they get opportunities thrown at them that makes sense for them and their family. But I just think it's super important to really look at your team, whether you got 2 guys or you've got 50, who are the difference makers and what are you doing to make sure you keep those people on your team? Because a couple people make a big difference in a company. I know that you know that. It's just like football, right? I mean, you can have a great team, but if you got a stud quarterback, if Mahomes plays for you, you got a chance to win the game.
For sure.
Right? I mean, that's just it. I mean, there's guys on teams, single guys that if you've got a couple of them, you got a chance to win every day.
Yeah, and you brought up a couple of really good points, and I don't know how you knew what phantom stock options were at 27 years old, but like maybe you were even younger than that. Maybe maybe you had a good mentor at the time that taught you how to do it, but that's super smart, just to get him bought in and give him some equity in the company and keep him.
Yeah, I just said, how do I keep this guy on more than just a paycheck and a truck and a cell phone, right? And I said, well, how do I get some buy-in and how do I, align his interests with my interests? And I did that with several people. And so that even though they didn't have actual ownership, they felt like it. And I treated Matt like an owner long before he had any actual stock. I ran stuff by him and I bounced ideas off. I did that with my entire team. I let them feel like they were an owner when they weren't. And but I remember going to somebody and saying, man, how do I give back more than just a paycheck or just a bonus at the end of the year? I was doing subjective bonuses. I'm sure you've been there. It's like, Jim's pretty good. We'll give him $5,000. Mike's sure. Really good. 7,500. Nancy's okay. We'll give her, and it was just objective. And I wanted it to be performance based, and I wanted it to be based on the net profit of the company, so that they had ownership in all of it, and started really understanding. And we also did open when we shared the numbers, because in the beginning, it's like, well, you guys are you're making a killing. And I'm like, oh, actually, we're not. I'll show you. It's like, let me show you. And so I just was very open with communication, and I just knew that I needed great people around me. One of the things that I think I've done well is I know what I'm good at, Jonas, and I know what I'm not good at. And I really try to stay in my lane, man. I really try to do the things I'm really good at. And I'm old school. I write them on paper. Like, here's what I want to do. Here's what I'm really good at. Here's the things I'm not good at. Does anybody on our team have that skill set? If not, who do we need to fill this gap? Right. And because there's so many owners that try to do the things they're not good at, man. If you're the best sales guy, go sell. If you're the best guy at operations, be the operations guy. If you're terrible at admin and billing and collecting, stop doing it. Get somebody else so you can focus on the things that are going to move the needle. And so I think a lot of owners say, well, I'm the owner, I do everything. Well, you can do that, but it'll be tough to scale that way.
Yeah, and do you feel like that's one of the points where that the owner just can't give up responsibility for that role that stops them from scaling?
Yeah, I think it's fear. I think it's ego and pride. And I think it really hurts them. And some of it's attitude. I talk to a lot of guys, and everybody's stupid. Nobody wants to work. Everybody's lazy. That's bullshit. That's
bullshit.
Not true.
I agree.
I got a full team. I believe you got a full team.
Sure do.
We got more people applying than we need because we've created a great company and a great culture. But yeah, you're right. If you don't have something that's appealing, it is going to be tough to get people. So I think that I think that most guys hold themselves back more than they realize, and I'm just smart enough to know that I'm not that smart. I'm smart enough to know that say, hey, I know what I'm good at. I try to hire people better than me, smarter than me, and then I just let them do their job. I don't fear that even at this company at Ballard, we only have 11 or 12 people here. I've got people way smarter than me here. Not at designing products or lawn care, but at every other aspect of our business. And I just let them do their job. That's why I hired them, and I compensate them well, and I let them do their job, and I don't micromanage. And if we screw something up, we have a conversation about it. And we try to figure out how do we tackle that different next time. But I see that a lot of guys hire people and then they don't let them do their job.
Yeah.
I hired a production manager. He's going to change the game, and then he quits, and it's like, man, you didn't even let me do my job.
I see that all the
time. You hired me.
Yep.
Yeah, and then you just micromanaged me, and you made every decision for me, and so then they don't want to. So I always tell people, why'd you hire him?
Yeah,
I don't trust him. Then fire him. If you don't trust him, get rid of him.
That's actually how I got my director of operations. She was at a company. She was a COO there, and she was trying to make changes over like the last 3 to 5 years. And every time she go to make change and make it better, the owner was to tell her no. Finally, she just got frustrated and she looked for a new job, and we got her, and she's an absolute rock star, which I think I told you before. She's incredible. Yeah. And I don't, I micromanaged to a point where I had to gain her trust right up front and make sure we're on the same page about a lot of things. But now, we have meetings twice a week, and she's doing her own thing, and it's absolutely incredible. She's moved the needle. It's amazing.
Absolutely. You got to get great people, put them in the right seats, make sure they understand where you're going, but then, man, then let them run. Yeah. And you can get a lot further that way. And
you brought up another good point when you were talking to me about that. I remember we were talking about recruiting on the podcast, and you said you had someone that walked into your office. Like, I can't remember what she did or what he did, but they come into your office quite often. And you liked her so much that you hired her, like you're trying to recruit her to your team.
Yeah, we do that a lot. I mean, anytime, and it's kind of crazy, but if I see somebody that working somewhere else, or someone comes in here and they're trying to sell me something, or I go somewhere and I see somebody that looks like an all-star, I'm not ashamed to just walk up and say, hey man, I don't know if you're happy doing what you're doing, but if you're not, hey, give me a call, would you?
Yeah.
Works my local grocery store. He's the best cashier checker outer guy I've ever seen. And I just told my wife, I said, next Friday when we go in to get groceries, we go every Friday, I'm going to give him my card. I don't know if he's happy or not, but he just clean cut, works hard. I don't know if he's happy doing what he's doing, but I'm just going to say, hey man, if you're not happy, here's my number. Give me a buzz. Let me just see if we have any opportunities for you at our company. And so I just try to pay attention to people anywhere. Sometimes like in a gas station, I could go into a Subway, and if somebody's the best sandwich artist in town, I'm like, hey, you sure this is what you want to do? I might have a spot for you. But on a higher level, sales reps, or if somebody comes in and they're just dialed in, I'll ask them, are you happy doing what you're doing? Okay. Well, if you're not, let me know. We might have a spot for you. And then it gets them thinking a little bit.
Yeah, always be recruiting, right?
Yeah, we're always talking to people, and we want them to feel like, hey, that might be a company I want to join.
Yeah. So we're gonna switch gears a little bit because I don't want to run out of time before I ask some other questions. But when did you know that you were ready to sell Perfect Cut? How did that come about?
Good question. I wasn't ready to sell Perfect Cut, and I had no intention of selling Perfect Cut. I mean, at some point we had talked about it. We had looked at doing an ESOP, so we paid for a feasibility study on an ESOP, and we decided we were going to hold off on that because a friend of mine did an ESOP with a large electrical company, and it made a lot of sense for his business. So we weren't for sale. I had taken myself out of the day-to-day role at Perfect Cut when I was focusing on Ballard. I took myself out about 4 years ago, and I met with Matt and said, "Hey, Matt, I'm doing 50% Perfect Cut, 50% Ballard. I don't like that. It's not fair to either one of them. I'm going to step down. You should be president. I'll take less compensation. We'll add what I take away to yours. I'm going to step away." And so I wasn't running Perfect Cut day to day anyways. But we've been approached by a lot of companies, and most of them we didn't really care. But this one, and it's Heartland Companies, and they've got, I think, about 20 companies in the U.S. now. We really liked what they had to say. We liked their structure. We liked the way they approached it. And the guys that are running that company aren't bankers, lawyers, and doctors, and just capital investors. These guys have owned landscape companies. There were a big part of a lot of the mergers and acquisitions in the early 2000s that failed, where they would go in and buy a company like yours or mine, and they would just change the name, change the culture, change the truck color, and that just failed miserably in the early 2000s. And so when we were talking to them, it was a lot about we don't change anything, and they don't. Like, Perfect Cut's still Perfect Cut. It's a stock purchase. The only difference is they own the stock and I don't. We wouldn't even have had to tell the employees or the customers. And so we kept talking to them, and we just kept saying, you know what, we're not interested. We're not interested. We're not interested. Maybe down the road we'll be interested. And he said, can we just get coffee? And so I said, I'm not interested in that. And Matt said, I'm going to go have coffee with him. I said, go ahead. And he called me afterwards and said, man, I really like this opportunity. It might make sense for us. We just came off a record year. They really want us. They love what we're doing. And so we kind of jokingly said, what's your number? And he threw a number at me. I threw a number at him. And I said, okay, well, we're not far off. Let's just, let's explore the opportunity. I say this, I was going to say Perfect Cut was debt free. We weren't debt free, but we had more cash on hand than we had in debt. So we had some loans that made sense, some low interest loans, but we had a nice cash reserve on hand. So the company was debt free. The real estate in all 5 buildings is owned separately by Matt and I. And so it made sense. And they started talking about multiples of EBITDA, and it got our attention. And we've been doing it a long time. There's still a lot of risk on the table. If somebody were to get hurt, killed, there's a lot of risk. And so we decided to open up and agree to a letter of intent and really just kind of start seeing what the process would look like. And I don't want to drag this on forever, but
I love
at the end of the day, it just seemed to make sense for us. And first and foremost for us, though, was we want the name to stay in place. We want our people to be taken care of. How do we make sure our people are taken care of first, that the Perfect Cut name continues to stay and grow? And we talked to several other companies that they bought, and every single one of them said, hey, man, they've done exactly what they said they were going to do. And so we're 2 years into our deal with them. They've been fantastic. They've done everything they said they were going to do. They've allowed us to continue to grow and focus on the business and not worry about the checkbook anymore, which is kind of unique. And they've certainly brought in some synergies to our company as well, with some software additions, some buying power through some national things, more employees, so a better healthcare program. When you put 2,500 employees on a healthcare program, you get a little better deal there. And so, we were prepared to sell, and I say this a lot. Even though we had no intention of selling, we ran our company so clean. So they hold back a retainer just like everybody does, and said, we're going to find some skeletons in the closet. And I said, no, you're not. And so luckily for us, about 6 or 7 years back, we had hired a CFO, and she was super, super bright. And, we quit running our personal stuff through the company. We cleaned up all that stuff. We used to run, you've been there. You go buy a new grill, you run it through the company, you go on a vacation, you run it through the company. And we quit doing all that stuff so that our books were 100% legit on how the company performs and operates and what is the actual net profit of the company.
Yep.
And I've looked at buying several companies locally even, and it's like, well, we make more money than that. But I have my Corvette in here and I have my boat and, I took my kids to Tahiti. And it's like, I don't know what to tell you, buddy. I'm not going to pay you. Like, your numbers say you made X.
Absolutely.
Well, I made more than that. Well, I don't give a shit. Like,
it's not on the P&L.
So, yeah. And so I'm glad we ran the company 100% legit so that when this opportunity presented itself, there was no cleanup work to do. We also had it in a position where we had great people in place because they want to buy a company that runs without the owners. And luckily I wasn't involved. So it wasn't like, the clients aren't doing business with Kory and Matt. They're doing business with Perfect Cut and their account managers, and they've been with us a long time. So there's just a lot of factors in there, and we negotiated for about a year. And being in a position that you don't have to sell gives you a lot of power as well.
Yep.
Because there was a couple of times we were fighting over what I thought was fairly minimal amounts of dollars, but I'm like, I don't really care, guys. We don't buy it.
Yeah.
I don't. You came to us. We didn't come to you. And so, but it's been a great partnership. They've been a great company. We just acquired another company over in our Eastern Iowa office. I think they've got about 55 employees. But again, Matt and I didn't write the check. They did, and it allowed us to really continue to expand and grow the brand and get a lot of synergies without a lot of personal risk. And so that's why it made sense for us. So, I don't regret it. It's weird though. I can tell you, every time I drive, you can't drive anywhere in Des Moines without seeing a Perfect Cut, a blue Perfect Cut truck. It's weird to me. It's like, shit, I don't own that. That's weird. That was my baby. I started it from scratch, and but I still go down. I talk to the people. I go down and bump knuckles with people in the morning when I can, and I try to be present anytime I can. We had a safety meeting yesterday. I like to go down and I just like to be there because I want our employees that when we told them nothing was going to change, then we got to make sure nothing changes, right? Or if it does change, it's for the better.
Yeah, that's great. There's so many nuggets in there that I want to dive into a little bit deeper. First question I wrote down was, how long was your due diligence process with that?
I think from start to finish, it took us about a year. We probably could have maybe 9 months, but I think it was a year from the time we really said, yeah, let's do this. And they gave us the original offer, and we said, I think that you're close. I think it took about 9 months to a year before we actually closed.
Was that a stressful process, like bringing on all those auditors? And
it was. Luckily, I didn't have to do a lot of the heavy lifting. We have a COO in place and a CFO that did a lot of the heavy lifting, and we certainly incentivized those when the deal was over. But it was because it was emotional. There were several times. I think we were 2 weeks out, and I called Matt and I said, I don't want to cuss too much on her, but I said, tell me the deal's off. F it. We're done. Yeah. He's like, whoa, what happened? I go, I can't do it, man. I didn't sleep last night. I can't do it. He said, call me tomorrow. So I call him the next day and I'm like, okay, Matt, I'm okay. Let's do it. And he goes, I don't think I'm in. I'm like, what? And he's like, I don't feel right about it. And so it was an emotional roller coaster, and just being vulnerable. I sat on my deck one night and I just started crying. I just was sitting on my patio and thinking, oh my God, I'm going to sell this thing. Like, what am I doing? And sure, the money's nice, but I mean, nothing in my life changed. Every dollar I got from that, I just invested it, put it away. It's not like, it's not like you hit the lottery. And yeah. I mean, I had money before, so it wasn't like, because people were like, what are you going to buy? Nothing. I didn't buy anything. I didn't do anything different. Other than I have some more security, right? I just invested the money and set up some stuff for the kids, and but nothing changed. So it wasn't about the money. I shouldn't say that. Everyone always says it's not about. I mean, certainly the financial side had to make sense for your life's work, but it was an emotional roller coaster. And then the day that we closed, I was sitting at the gym in the parking lot, and I looked at my account and I saw the money went in my account. And it was quite a bit, by the way.
Yeah.
And I thought I would just be ecstatic and elated. And again, I sat there and I just started crying. Like, it didn't feel like I thought. It didn't feel that good. It just didn't. And I went home. I just took the rest of the day off. I just sat at home, and then I laid down. My wife called and said, "What are you doing?" So I'm taking a nap. And she's like, "Oh, I thought you'd be like, it was beautiful out. It was a Friday." And I just went home and laid down. I was mentally and emotionally just exhausted. And it just didn't feel like I thought it would. And I don't know how to explain that, but since then it's all made sense. And I don't regret it for a minute, but it certainly is an emotional process to sell something that you have your entire life's work in. And to be honest, Jonas, kind of embarrassingly, but it was my identity for so many years. I went through a divorce, and I remember telling my ex-wife, like, I didn't even care about the divorce. As long as I had Perfect Cut, I was going to be okay. It was like my entire identity. Like, everybody just knew me. If you said my name, like, oh, Perfect Cut. Like, and I don't know if that was just lack of self-confidence, insecurity, ego. And then that piece was just ripped. It felt like it was just ripped away. And so it certainly was a tough time. And I learned a lot from it, certainly.
Yeah. Is there anything that you'd have done different through that process?
Not really. I think that I had to go through all of it. I think I had to go through the ups and downs. And, I talked to a lot of people I trusted. I spent a lot of time talking to my wife, and I spent a lot of time alone just thinking it through. And I don't think so. I think it played out exactly how it needed to. And I'm proud of the way our team handled it. And then we made sure we took care of some of our best people, and they're still on. But and we even sat down with some of our best people and said, "Hey, listen, we think we're gonna, like, in full confidentiality. I'm not even supposed to tell you this, but we're close to closing, and I won't do it if you're not on board. But here's what we're going to do for you, and we're going to give you some shares and so we did some things for our people that I think that helped us get where we got. I mean, we had to take care of some of them people that were crucial in getting Perfect Cut to the level to get the multiple that we got. It was the highest multiple they've ever paid, and it wasn't because of me. It was because of all their hard work as well. And so we definitely had to take care of some of our key players in that final transaction.
Yeah. So when you were building and you were starting to hire your C-suite team, you said your COO, your CFO, maybe you had a CMO, I'm not sure. Did they have an employee stock option then when they came on board, or they had some sort of equity to get them on board?
No, they don't. They all have salaries, plus they have bonuses. And bonus tied back to overall company profits. So with all of them, that's the deal we have. We also had a deferred comp program in place that unfortunately ended when Heartland bought us. But then to make that up, they were able to cash out some of that or all of that, and then we went ahead and issued them another gift, basically, from Matt and I personally, into shares to the parent company. So just kind of a little workaround for us, but we wanted to make sure that they were compensated, taken care of, and realize, and they knew how valuable they were to us. Not like, hey guys, thanks for helping us. We got our money, good luck with the new team. And so we had a lot of conversations with our top, 5 or 6 people to make sure that, and really walk them through why we were doing what we were doing. And I believe that they completely agreed that it was not a money grab for us in any way. We never talked about the money. It was always about people, culture, longevity of the company, and taking care of our clients.
Such a great story. My next question would be, like, after you did sell and you decided I don't know if you had to decide, or if that's part of the deal that you had to stay on the board for the board seat for so long, or is that something that you wanted to do, or is it part of the deal?
Part of the deal was I would stay on for 2 years, and Matt as well. Matt stayed on as president for 2 years. I stayed on the strategy team for 2 years, and I've asked for an extension. I believe they'll extend. I believe I'm grandfathered in forever.
Cool.
At some point they could find it not that valuable. But so that was part of the deal that they typically do with owners and in their kind of their main players. And I hope to stay on with them as long as they'll allow me. And I hope to stay on as long as I have value. And so, and I do think I bring a lot of value to the strategy team because I'm not in the weeds. I'm kind of at the 20,000 foot level looking down. And so I can continue to bring a perspective that's a little different because I'm not bogged down with all the day-to-day, shit that goes on. And so, and for them, they want our people to continue to see my face and Matt's face as long as possible. And Matt's super engaged. He's probably more engaged now than ever. He's a freaking stud. He's in there grinding it out. And I said, Matt, how long are you going to do this? And he said, as long as I'm having fun. It financially doesn't need to be there. But he's like, man, I'm having fun and I'm loving what I'm doing. And I'm going to do it as long as I'm having fun and bringing value.
Super cool. So what made you start Ballard Corp then? Was that just a fun project that you did on the side, like you said? And then you decided it was doing well and then you wanted to scale, or?
I don't think most people realize, I started that company in 1999 and incorporated in 2000. And it just started with one product, which was the Easy Gate. We made a product for our own trailer because we were tired of lifting lower the heavy gates. And then I filed for a patent. Then we made the Super Jack to lift our mowers and we patented that. So we just started making products that we were using every day in our business. And I'm like, I think I could sell these. Like, surely we can sell. I mean, we're using this stuff every day. There's nothing else out there like it. And so this is pre-social media, right? And so we had to go to all the trade shows and GIE back then, which is Equip Expo now. And then, so we started making products. And then we also started buying other people's products, which some of them we still sell today, like the Green Touch racks. So we had those on our trailers and we're like, hey, we really like this product. At the time, it was the Cadillac of racks. There was no other competition. And so I reached out to them and said, hey, we'd like to sell your product. So through a combination of our own products that we developed that we used every day to other products that we were using in our business that I thought we could sell. So we started selling products. I had one sales guy and one part-time warehouse guy. And I did that for about 15 years. And it was just kind of a hobby business. It wasn't making a lot of money. It wasn't losing any money. It was just something that I enjoyed. It was kind of fun. And then in 2017 is when I really kind of hit the crossroad. I said, I came home to my wife and I said, I'm either going to shut it down or I'm going to blow it up. She's like, blow it up? Like, what do you mean? I said, like, grow. That's when I said blowing something up. I'm not going to blow it up with the dynamite. I'm blowing it up. We're going to grow it. I said, we've got great products. The industry's growing. There's nobody doing what we're doing. And so I called the guy and said, what do you know about social media? He said, not much. I said, well, it's still probably more than me. What do you know about Facebook marketing? He said, not much. I said, you still got me. And so it just started from there. We started making some videos, promoting the products, and quickly just started growing. And it was pretty short thereafter that I realized that I wanted to do Ballard. I wanted to see if I could grow this company and create opportunities for people. And I think 2018 is when I stepped down from Perfect Cut. So, but I mean, we were only doing like 100,000 a year in sales. And this year we should be close to 10 million or maybe a little bit more. So we quickly took it, just scaled it fast and crazy. And I'm having a lot of fun with it. I get to create new products, test new products. I get a lot of people bringing me their products. We have this joke where I'm just the middleman, right? But I just got off the phone a little bit ago with a guy named Andy. He's got a great new product he developed. Again, he developed this product for his own business, but he doesn't know what to do with it. Guys like him bring me products, and I know what to do with it, right? I can get it manufactured if it is, if it's a great product. I can get it manufactured. We can market it. We can make his dream come true as well. And he just gets mailbox money. I make deals with guys all the time where I do royalty deals. And so we're having a lot of fun with Ballard, and social media has certainly made all that possible. I think we had 63 million views last year on our channels. So pretty crazy numbers that we're able to reach out there. And so we're able to reach a lot of people. I put myself out there. I do most of the videos myself, which comes with a lot of hate. I don't know how many Facebook groups you follow, but man, I get I get bashed almost daily. It's okay. It is what it is. We're just going to keep doing what we're doing and trying to create great products and give great customer service. But yeah, we've had a lot of fun with that. I mentioned, I think before we went on air that, we're building a new 26,000 square foot facility. And we've got a great team of people on board and looking to add quite a few more. And I don't know where I'll take it. And how long I'll be involved. Again, I'll be involved as long as I'm having fun. And we've had quite a few companies try to buy this one as well now. So that's kind of interesting. I'm like, not interested. Wait, what's your number? No, I'm just kidding. But I'm not. I'm not interested at this point. I still think we're just in the infancy with it. I think we can grow this thing to a lot bigger company. And I was going to say we're having fun. Most of the time we're having fun. This time of year is pretty nuts. Can be pretty stressful. Yep. There's a lot of pressure, but so we're having fun with it. And hopefully we're bringing value to the industry, and that's all we're trying to do.
Yeah. Through COVID, when all the trucking went down and couldn't ship things around, did that really mess with you guys?
Yeah, it was tough. We could get stuff out of here, but we were having trouble getting products made and getting products in. Yeah. And of course, pricing, was crazy. We have some products made in the U.S. We have products made in other places where we find the best suitable manufacturer. So we were trucking and shipping and steel costs and stuff that used to take 2 months to get was taking 6 and 8 months to get. And so that was certainly challenging for us. I'm glad we made it through. But people still need products, right? Grass still needs cut, and people still need products, and so we still had a pretty good year, and despite all the chaos going on in the world.
Great. What does Kory Ballard's typical day look like at this point?
I get up at 4 a.m. I don't sleep much, but I get up at 4 and. I typically get through emails pretty early. Typically, I go to the gym at 5 a.m. Depends on what day of the week it is. I do a couple different routines, but I like to get to the gym at 5. I like to be in the office by 6:30, and I work through emails, meet with my team on kind of what's going on, what issues we have going on here at Ballard. And then I'm working on just new products and. I talk to a lot of, different people in the industry. I answer emails. I still involved with Perfect Cut on Tuesdays. I'm down there most of the day, or at least a half a day. And, a lot more freedom and flexibility than I had, but with growth comes some challenges. So, I'm a guy that likes to be in routine. I'm having lunch with the guy here after we get off that has some questions on his company's growing. He's having some capital concerns to scale his company. Obviously, it takes cash. Yep. So anytime I can meet somebody and at least share my experience with them, man, I try to. I love giving back. It seems like the more I give back, the more I get in return. So constantly just trying to help people. And then, we have kids' activities every night. Man, we got karate and dance, and my son works out, and we race on the weekends, and so we lead a really busy life.
Cool. Yeah, and I can attest to that because I know that the first time I ever reached out 5 years ago, I was like, this guy is never ever going to respond to me ever. And within half hour, you'd already responded, inviting me to come visit you. So I appreciate that. You've helped me a lot along the way. So I appreciate you as a mentor, as a friend, and definitely appreciate you taking the time for us today to be in the podcast.
Yeah, man, it's been fun. If you ever want to get me back on, I know I ramble a little bit. I could talk industry and lawn care. I could talk about this shit all long. So time goes fast. But if you ever want to do another one, or if you've got specific topics, there's so many hot topics in our industry, which is, getting work and getting people. And I don't even talk about equipment much because I don't care about equipment. That's the easy stuff. It's all the other things that make a company great. And Jonas, I appreciate you having me on, buddy. And I appreciate you joining us on the Green Grind a couple weeks ago. And we'll be sharing that episode here soon as well.
Cool. If you guys have any questions for Kory, drop them in the comments on YouTube or send me questions to info@pestcontrolmillionaire.com. I can throw these questions at Kory, or I'll try to bring him back on again to answer them. And thanks again for being here. And if you guys need to follow Kory, we'll have the links in his bio. So just click on the bio and go follow Kory. Appreciate it.
Awesome, man. Appreciate being on.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for checking out another episode of the Pest Control Millionaire Podcast. If this was valuable to you, please leave us a review on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. It really makes a big difference for our growth. And if you do need any help growing your business, go ahead and check out pestcontrolmillionaire.com. We have lots of courses up there, from sales to operations. I have some courses there about producing short form content. Plus, we have a mentorship program where you can get one-on-one business coaching from the Pest Control Millionaire himself. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the next one.